What's up, guys? Time for the Disc Color Maze, your third potential challenge of this week. Let's do this! So the first thing to note is you're going to use Disc Maze, and the Forever block over here is going to be very helpful in coding to keep the program running. So once you go over to Disc Maze, you're going to want to go and grab the Forever block under control. The trick here is we're going to be using the eye sensor over here that's running forever, and whenever it senses something, we're going to tell it to do something if it detects something. So within the forever block over here, we're going to want to go and get an if block. But not just the block that says if then, we want if then, otherwise something else is going to happen. Let's see what happens if we don't use an if else block. So we set over here using the front eye, which is under sensing over here. So if we go over to sensing, we want to use the eye sensor. So if we use if front eye is near object, which is what we put inside of this if block over here, then we want to turn right. So using this if block, we can see right now the program's going to run and it's going to say forever if it's near, then turn right. But the problem is there's nothing near it, so it's not doing anything. It's just waiting for something to come near. But these things aren't moving. So even though if this is a real world situation where like robots were coming at you and then you turn to avoid them, that would work. But we need some other statement if else. So if this doesn't happen, then do something else. So with the if else block, we are going to do this unless nothing's near. And if nothing's near, we are going to drive forward. So using this, let's take a look at what happens over here. So right now, it's going to drive and drive and drive and drive until it gets near, and then it's going to turn right, and then it's going to drive until it gets near, and it's going to turn right. It's going to drive until it gets near something, and then it's going to turn right. It's going to keep doing this, and because this is going forever, there's no other set of commands. So it's kind of going to randomly go across the entire board and bounce around forever, and whenever it gets near something, it's going to turn right. So the goal for our first challenge is to finish the maze, but make sure we detect at least 5 disc colors before moving to the finish. The green square is the starting point, and the red disc is finished. So we're starting here, and this is the finish point. So we need to hit 5 of these discs before coming here. And what that means is we need to program a stop when it gets to red. So we could try programming if that turn right else stop. But if we play this, well, nothing's going to happen because it's already stopped. So we can't replace driving forward with stop driving. We're going to have to add another block inside of this. So we're going to want to create a structure that looks something like this, where we want it running forever, and if the front eye is near the object, then we're going to do this, or this, or this. And if none of those happen, just keep going forward. So we're going to need to program a keep going, and a stop based on the colors. To do that, we're going to go into sensing, and under eye sensing, we already used if it's near the object. Well, what does it do when it's near the object? Well, we want it to be detecting a color. So we're going to use this block over here. So while it's running, when it's near an object and that object is green, what should we do? Well, when we hit a green block over here, what do we want it to do? We want it to turn right. So let's make that happen. So let's see what's happening so far. So we're going to play this. So if we hit play over here, we are going to watch it move forward until it hits an object, and then it's going to turn right. But you saw it didn't turn very much, right? It just turned a little bit because we didn't specify how many degrees it's going to turn. So let's change that to degrees. So it's going to turn 90 degrees when it gets there. So over here, 90 degrees, turn and keep going. And it doesn't know what to do when it detects blue. So you guys are going to come up with, well, what do you want it to do when it detects blue? Turn 90, turn 180. You're going to figure out that, and you're going to hit 5 blocks and end at the red. So I'm not going to tell you what to do when it hits blue. This might need to be changed. It's up to you, but I will show you over here what to do. So finally, when it detects red, where we want it to stop, we're going to tell it to stop driving. So the only part of this code that you're going to have to figure out is these 2 parts over here, what angle it needs to turn and what angle it needs to turn in order to make it all the way to red. So as of right now, this is what the code looks like. So we're going to go to green, turn 90, go to blue, doesn't know what to do, and eventually it would stop if it got to red. And since this is the first challenge, I'll give you guys a hint with no code, but you can watch. This doesn't mean it's the only way to do it. So we've hit so far 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. All you have to hit is 5. I hit more, and you see it stopped. And that is using the sensors to make it determine when to stop, as long as you program it to follow the maze completely. So level 1, let's do this. So after you finish this challenge, the other 2 are optional. They are bonus levels. They are a bit more difficult, but to those of you who love coding, I hope you try this as a challenge. If not, and you picked this one, you done. So this is challenge level 2. So for level 2 over here, the trick is you are going to be using the down eye sensor to detect the floor colors as opposed to the forward eye sensor. So in order to use the down eye sensor, we want to keep going unless we see red, because the sensor looking at the bottom would stop as soon as it sees that. So in order to do that, we are going to be able to drive forward, and then we're going to be doing something while we don't detect red. So in order to create this command over here, we are going to go to the operators, and we're going to go and we're going to click the not block over here. And we're going to take this not block and we're going to drag it inside of the while over here. So it's saying while this isn't happening. So while we're not on top of the red, we're going to do what's below. Well, what do we want to not be? Well, using the sensor, we want to be not detecting the color red with the downward eye. So we're going to click front eye detects red, and then instead of front eye, we are going to select the down eye. So we're going to take this block over here and we're going to drag this inside of the not block over here, so that while the down eye does not detect red, we will do something. So your basic structure for this challenge is going to look like this. We're inside here, we need to decide which color we're going to be detecting. So to get those blocks, we're going to go back to sensing. We're going to scroll down to eye sensing, and we're going to select over here the down eye, and we want it to be when it selects green, and we're going to duplicate this block over here, and we also want one for detecting blue. So we're going to click blue over here. So we want to do something when those happen. So we're going to drop this inside, and we want it to do something when it detects those colors, and that's what you guys are going to have to decide. So if you start the program over here, we are going to be moving forward until it detects green or blue. Well, you might wonder then, why is he stopped here? Well, we also, like before, had to use an if-else block, because else we need it to keep driving if it's not detecting it. So we're going to swap these blocks. So the almost completed code that you can pick up for is when not moving forward for 200, and then when it's not detecting red, it's going to keep going until it detects green, which is going to turn right for 90 degrees. And it will then move forward until it detects blue. And once it detects blue, you're going to have to tell it whether you want it to go left or right, and then you're going to keep choosing the direction based off that. And your goal is just to finish the maze, get to the end with the red. So assuming turning right when we saw green and turning right when we saw blue would work, take a look at what this would look like. So we're going to go forward until we hit the green, then we're going to turn right, and we're going to move forward until we hit blue, and then we're going to turn right, and then we're going to go forward until, and now it doesn't know what to do because it's using the floor color and there's nothing left. So play with the direction in which you're turning. These are really the only things you'll have to swap. You can play with degrees, you can play with direction, and good luck. And you did it. All right, go reflect.